The Legend of Jigong Chapter 63.
We find Jigong sitting in a tavern drinking with two headmen named Chai and Du. They finish their meal, and these two figures of authority immediately orchestrate a plan to ditch the monk with the bill.
And the method they choose is just remarkably childish. I mean, it relies on the most basic, transparent social lie available in a dining setting.
Yeah, so Headman Du stands up and announces he has to, quote, go to the bathroom. And Headman Chai immediately follows suit, claiming he needs to urinate.
Such a classic move.
Right, the oldest trick in the book. They are walking out the front door, leaving a penniless monk alone at a table with an unpaid tab. And what stands out to me is the staggering hypocrisy of the situation.
Because of who they are in the community.
Exactly. In this historical context, headmen are local law enforcement. They are the figures responsible for maintaining order, upholding the law, projecting authority. Yet, their personal morality is so bankrupt that they resort to the equivalent of, like, oh, I left my wallet in the car, to avoid paying for their own lunch.
Yeah, and this framing is entirely intentional by the author. It immediately subverts our expectations of hierarchy. The supposed pillars of the community are revealed to be pretty petty and deceitful.
They really are.
And Chai and Du operate under the assumption that they hold the power dynamic. They view Jigong merely as a monk, expecting him to be either too socially naive to realize he's being scammed, or just too bound by monastic codes of politeness to cause a scene.
They figure he's not going to make a fuss.
Right. They are weaponizing his assumed goodness against him.
But their calculation is completely wrong, because Jigong doesn't react the way a normal person would. I mean, he doesn't chase them down, he doesn't panic about the money, he just calmly tells them, right, you both go, leave me here to hold the table.
He signals complete acquiescence.
Yeah, but the moment the headmen are out the door, the tavern waiter realizes what's happening. He assumes he's about to be stiffed, so he starts hawking the monks every single move. And the tension in the text right here is incredibly high. You have a penniless monk, a super vigilant waiter, and a looming bill.
A reader at this point might expect a holy man to use a mystical incantation or teleportation to escape the trap.
Right, some kind of magic trick.
Exactly. But what's fascinating here is that he bypasses the supernatural entirely. He relies on something far more predictable and powerful, which is the inevitable friction of human interaction. Jigong doesn't alter reality. He simply waits for the natural volatility of a crowded room to produce an opportunity.
And the universe provides a spectacular distraction. It's so funny. A customer is walking out of the tavern carrying a bowl of osmanthus soup, which the text calls muxie soup. And simultaneously, another individual comes rushing into the establishment in a massive hurry.
Just a recipe for disaster.
Right. They collide, the bowl shatters, hot soup ruins the rushing man's clothes. And this huge screaming match erupts instantly over liability. The guy who dropped the soup demands compensation for his broken bowl, and the guy covered in soup demands compensation for his ruined wardrobe.
And notice how quickly the conflict escalates from a physical accident to a matter of deeply ingrained ego. It's a perfect microcosm of human grievance. Neither party is willing to accept the accident as simply an accident.
No, someone has to pay.
Right. Blame must be assigned. Pride must be defended. The noise, the shouting, the public spectacle of two people defending their perceived rights, all of this creates a cognitive blind spot in the entire room.
Including the waiter. The waiter, who is practically standing guard over Jigong, completely abandons his post. He rushes over to play peacemaker. The entire tavern is consumed by this petty drama. And in the middle of this screaming match over a bowl and a shirt, Jigong just quietly stands up and walks out the door. Unnoticed.
It's brilliant. This is a practical application of a concept deeply rooted in Taoist and Zen philosophies, which is wu wei, or non-action. Jigong does not force his escape. He doesn't fight the waiter or run away in a panic.
He just lets it happen.
Yes, he simply recognizes that ordinary people are hopelessly tethered to their material possessions and their personal pride. By allowing the waiter to be magnetically drawn into the chaos of the broken bowl, Jigong effortlessly slips through the cracks of their distraction.
It's an absolute masterstroke of evasion. But the sequence doesn't end with his escape. Jigong strolls down to the edge of the village, and there are headmen Chai and Du just loitering in the dark, congratulating themselves on a successful scam.
They think they got away with it.
Right. And Jigong casually walks up to them, totally shattering their illusion of superiority. They are stunned. They immediately demand to know if he paid the bill. And Jigong doesn't even hesitate. He tells a bald-faced lie, claiming he told the manager to simply put the meal on his tab.
A lie so utterly unconvincing that even the headmen call it out immediately. They point out the absurdity of a tavern manager offering a line of credit to a random transient monk.
Yeah, they're like, we know you don't have a tab. But he brushes their logic aside entirely and pivots to a proposition that honestly borders on the psychotic.
Yeah.
He says, let's play a game of hide and seek. I'm going to hide. If you find me, I will buy you breakfast tomorrow morning. But if you don't find me tomorrow, I eat you.
He just shifts the dynamic entirely, from a mundane financial dispute to a threat of surreal, cannibalistic violence.
Yeah. Imagine standing in a dark village you just tried to stick someone with a bill, and they calmly propose that if you lose a child's game, they will consume your flesh. It sounds like the setup for a horror film. Why would a supposedly enlightened figure resort to this specific, grotesque type of psychological warfare?
Because it completely dismantles their mental framework. Chai and Du understand the rules of money, authority, and petty theft. They do not understand how to process a monk who casually threatens to eat them.
I mean, who would?
Exactly. By introducing this level of extreme absurdity, Jigong establishes absolute psychological dominance. The trickster archetype in mythology always operates by breaking the established rules of reality. He leaves the headman profoundly confused, disoriented, and paralyzed by the sheer weirdness of the interaction.
So they don't even try to follow him.
Right, which allows him to just turn and walk away into the night without them daring to pursue.
And that psychological paralysis gives Jigong the cover to travel alone to Xiaoyu village by morning. And this transition in the text takes us from the chaotic, dark evasion into a scene of hyper-specific, mundane daylight.
It's quite a shift in tone.
It really is. He arrives at a tavern owned by a man named Li Ping just as it's opening. And the author slows the narrative down here to focus on incredibly grounded details. We're told there are exactly 6 tables. We're told that on every single table there are 4 specific preset dishes.
The boiled egg, the dried tofu, the salted beans, and the sugar-fried dough twists, the mahua.
Exactly. Why get so specific about breakfast food?
The author is anchoring the narrative. By cataloging the exact layout of the room and the precise working-class breakfast items, the text creates a stark contrast for the supernatural events that are about to unfold.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, miracles in this text do not occur in shimmering temples or ethereal landscapes. They happen amidst dried tofu and dirty tavern tables. This grounds the reader's expectation in absolute reality.
It also sets the stage for what I can only describe as a masterclass in deliberate annoyance. Jigong sits down at one of these tables, picks up the single boiled egg, and begins rhythmically tapping it against the wood. Tap, tap, tap.
Extremely irritating.
And with every single tap, he shouts, "Manager!" He is actively choosing the most abrasive, irritating way to announce his presence first thing in the morning. The waiter rushes over, clearly exhausted and immediately annoyed by this breach of basic restaurant etiquette.
And the waiter functions as the proxy for the audience here. He represents the standard social contract. You enter an establishment, you sit quietly, you order, and you pay. Jigong is actively stress testing that contract.
He totally is. He ignores the waiter's frustration and launches into an aggressive interrogation about the price of every item. He demands the price of the egg 6 coins, he demands the price of the tofu 3 coins apiece, and then he focuses on the plate of salted beans.
This is where it gets really funny.
Yeah, he looks at the waiter and offers a deeply sarcastic compliment, praising the massive amount of effort it must have taken to manually fold all the tiny wrinkles into the skin of every single bean.
This is a classic tactic within the crazy wisdom tradition of Chan Buddhism. The master acts as a fool to expose the rigid thinking of the person they are interacting with.
It works perfectly because the waiter is forced into this bewildering position of explaining basic physics to a monk. He has to point out that beans wrinkle naturally when soaked in water, and, no one is sitting in the kitchen hand-folding legumes.
Poor waiter.
Right. It's hilarious, but it's also exhausting. I compare this to dealing with an internet troll in real life. Jigong is systematically stripping away the polite veneer of the morning routine. He's forcing the waiter to engage with him not as a respected customer, but as a deeply confusing, erratic obstacle.
And he's doing this to test their capacity for tolerance, because he then proceeds to order and consume 6 pots of wine, racking up a very specific bill of 256 coins.
Which is a huge tab for breakfast.
Right. And when Li Ping, the owner, and the waiter finally confront him for payment, Jigong deploys a variation of the same tactic he used with the headman. He attempts to put it on a tab, and when pressed, he constructs a lie that is almost insulting in its lack of effort.
It's so bad. He claims he is waiting for a local friend who promised to treat him. When Li Ping logically asks, okay, when was this arrangement made? Jigong says, last year.
Very vague.
When asked where, he vaguely replies, on the road. And when Li Ping asks for the friend's name, Jigong simply says he forgot. I struggle to understand the strategy here. If you're going to lie to get out of a 256 coin debt, why tell a lie that is guaranteed to fail?
This raises an important question.
Yeah, it is objectively the worst excuse imaginable.
But the weakness of the lie is the entire point. He isn't trying to successfully deceive Li Ping. He's constructing a filter. He's creating a scenario of maximum friction combining obnoxious behavior, a significant financial debt, and an insulting lie to see how Li Ping reacts under pressure.
He's pushing his buttons.
Exactly. Jigong is searching for a very specific type of desperation, a vulnerability that strips away a person's attachment to money and social norms.
And he finds exactly that, because the moment Li Ping calls out the nonsense, Jigong pivots sharply. He drops the act and announces, I am a doctor. I treat internal and external medicine. My friend invited me here to cure a disease, but I forgot who he was.
And that changes everything.
Totally. The word doctor changes the entire atmosphere of the room. Li Ping instantly stops caring about the 256 coins. The debt vanishes from his mind because he is harboring a tragic secret in the back room of his tavern.
The narrative abruptly shifts here from comedic annoyance to visceral tragedy. Li Ping's younger brother, Li Mayan, is dying of what the text calls child consumption, which is historically understood as tuberculosis.
The text provides this clinical, absolutely merciless description of the boy's condition. Leon is lying on a brick bed, emitting a continuous low moan. His face is described as the color of white paper, completely devoid of blood.
It's very grim.
It's awful. His eyes are forced open at the corners, his nostrils are flared, and the skin around his ears is bone dry. He is visibly in the final stages of systemic organ failure. Li Ping had been keeping him at the tavern, desperately trying to feed him, but the disease has won. He is a man who has completely run out of options.
Which is precisely why he's willing to overlook the monk's erratic behavior. Extreme grief and impending loss have stripped Li Ping of his standard societal filters. He promises to forgive the debt and buy the monk a new set of clothes if he can just save his brother.
He's willing to try anything.
Anything. And this sets the stage for the most transgressive moment in the chapter.
Yeah. Jigong agrees and pulls out a pill. When asked for its name, he proudly declares it is the stretch legs and stare eyes pill.
Not exactly a comforting name for medicine.
Not at all. It sounds like a euphemism for a lethal poison, not a cure. Li Ping is understandably horrified by the branding, but Jigong defends it with a poem boasting of its universal healing properties.
But the name is really the least of their worries.
Oh, absolutely. Here's where it gets really interesting. And by interesting, I mean disgusting. The method of administration is where I actively push back against the concept of this figure being a holy healer.
Because the methodology violates every modern and historical standard of medical care.
It is vile. Jigong places the pill into his own mouth and begins to chew it. The dying boy, Leon, manages to summon enough strength to express his disgust, whispering, "Oh, I won't eat that, it's dirty."
Even on his deathbed, he's repulsed.
Right, but his consent is completely bypassed. Jigong points a finger at the boy, and an unseen force pries Leon's mouth open. Jigong then leans over and spits the chewed-up pill, completely mixed with his own saliva and thick phlegm, directly down the dying child's throat.
It is an act that induces absolute revulsion.
It is repulsive. To put this in perspective, imagine taking your critically ill child to a specialist. The doctor takes out a capsule, chews it up, clears their throat, and attempts to spit the resulting paste into your child's mouth.
Like a bird feeding its young, but twisted into a medical procedure.
Exactly like a mother bird, but completely grotesque. The immediate reaction isn't gratitude, it's violence. It is a profound violation of bodily autonomy and basic sanitation. How can the text frame this deeply unhygienic assault as a miracle?
Well, to understand this, we have to look at the philosophical core of the mad monk persona. The text is making a radical theological argument about the nature of purity.
Okay, I'm listening.
Human beings construct their reality around dualities. Clean versus unclean, polite versus rude, holy versus profane. We are deeply attached to the idea that salvation and healing must come in a pristine, respectable package.
We want our miracles sanitized.
Exactly. But Jigong operates from a state of enlightenment that transcends these human dualities. By forcing the medicine down the boy's throat in the most repulsive, visceral manner conceivable, he is actively assaulting Li Ping's and the reader's attachment to purity.
So it's intentional.
Highly intentional. He is essentially forcing a choice. Do you want your brother to live, or do you want the process to be polite and clean? You cannot have both. True intervention requires embracing the messiness of existence. The miracle is intentionally buried inside the disgust to test if the recipient is truly ready to receive it without judgment.
Wow. That reframes the entire sequence. He is breaking their conceptual framework of how the world should work before he fixes the physical body.
Exactly.
And the efficacy of the cure is undeniable. The moment that grotesque mixture hits Leon's stomach, the text describes an immediate physiological resurrection. Gas moves, blood flows. A profound lightness overtakes the boy.
The clear energy rises, and the turbid energy descends.
Yeah, the boy just sits up, completely cured, and his first instinct is a ravenous demand for food and water.
It is a complete reversal of the dying process, and it is only in the aftermath of this undeniable resurrection that Jigong reviews the true nature of his intervention. He tells Li Ping the pill is actually called the Yao Ming Dan, or the life-demanding pill.
Because it quite literally demands a life back from the threshold of death. It is a far more fitting name. And this visceral display of power completely solidifies his authority in the room. Li Ping is overwhelmed.
He finally gets it.
Yeah, he instantly realizes that the obnoxious, lying, unhygienic man sitting in his tavern is actually a being of immense power. And human nature being what it is, Li Ping immediately wants to leverage that power for his extended network.
Of course he does.
He mentions his sworn brother, Ma Jing, whose mother has been coughing up blood for months, and asks Jigong to make a second house call.
And Jigong agrees with total nonchalance, treating a chronic bloody illness as an afterthought. But this transition introduces a crucial shift in his strategy. As they walk to Ma Jing's house, Li Ping asks for his origins, and Jigong finally reveals his identity. He says, "I am Daoji from Lingyan Temple. The rumors say I am Ji Dayan, the mad monk."
The timing of this reveal is fascinating to me. He could have walked into the tavern, announced his famous title, and likely received free food and respect immediately. Why withhold his identity until after the chaotic breakfast and the spit pill miracle?
Because relying on a title is a form of worldly attachment. If he demands respect based on his affiliation with Lingyan Temple, he is operating within the societal hierarchy, the exact system he seeks to subvert.
He wants to prove it first.
Yes. He insists on establishing his authority in the mud. He proves his profound power through action first, and only attaches his institutional name to it afterward. It demonstrates that his enlightenment is inherent to his being, not granted by his monastic title.
That makes a lot of sense. And this brings us to the final sequence at Ma Jing's house, where
Yeah.
the genre of our story abruptly shifts from a medical drama into a tense locked room mystery.
The atmosphere completely changes.
It really does. As they arrive, Jigong abandons all pretense of being a polite guest. He stands outside the front door and bellows, "Is why Yunlong here?"
A name that introduces an immediate element of confusion, as it has no prior context in the narrative.
Right. Li Ping has no idea who that is. But the reaction it provokes from Ma Jing is incredibly suspicious. Ma Jing opens the door, sees Li Ping standing there with a monk offering to cure his dying mother, and instead of expressing relief, he panics.
He's terrified.
He physically tries to block the entrance. He tells Li Ping his timing is terrible, claiming he has, quote, friends over, and begs them to leave and come back later.
From a logical standpoint, this is an indefensible reaction. Your mother has been coughing blood for months, a purported miracle worker is on your doorstep, and you prioritize the comfort of unidentified friends over her immediate survival.
Li Ping calls out the absurdity immediately. He argues that you don't hide a doctor from house guests, especially when the patient is critical.
It just doesn't add up.
Ma Jing, realizing he's exposing himself as a terrible son if he refuses the medical help, reluctantly allows them into the courtyard. But the atmosphere is thick with paranoia. As soon as they enter, Jigong completely ignores the main room where the sick mother resides. He pivots and walks with absolute purpose toward the east room of the compound.
And Ma Jing's response escalates from verbal deflection to physical intervention.
He literally grabs the monk. He physically restrains Jigong, desperately insisting that the east room is occupied by guests and they must go to the main room. And this is where Jigong delivers a line that sends a chill through the entire scene.
It's a great moment.
He looks at Ma Jing and says, "There are 3 guests, anyway one can't escape."
It's a cryptic, highly loaded statement. It suggests Jigong possesses supernatural omniscience. He knows exactly who and what is behind that door, despite having never entered the house.
Let's look at the mechanics of this mystery. Ma Jing is terrified and claims there are friends in the East Room. Jigong claims there is someone named Yunlong and 3 guests in the East Room. But Li Ping, who's deeply confused by this standoff, manages to sneak a look through the window of that exact room. And what does he see?
Nothing.
Nothing. The room is completely empty. We have a desperate homeowner protecting a room, a monk threatening the occupants of the room, and a third-party witness confirming the room is vacant. It's like a medieval locked room mystery.
And this creates a multi-layered reality. Ma Jing is actively deceiving Li Ping to protect a secret. Li Ping's ordinary human perception is incapable of seeing the truth. Jigong, operating on an enlightened plane, perceives the hidden reality, perhaps spiritual entities, or perhaps individuals concealed through mystical means.
So they're all experiencing something different.
Right. The empty room is a metaphor for human blindness. Just because Li Ping cannot see the danger doesn't mean it isn't there.
But Jigong doesn't force his way into the room just yet. He recognizes he needs tactical leverage. So he allows himself to be redirected to the main room to treat the mother. And the healing process here is a stark contrast to the visceral horror of the tavern scene.
It's much cleaner.
Yeah, she utilizes another pill, but this time requires it to be dissolved in yin-yang water, which historically refers to a mixture of boiling water and cold well water. The mother drinks it, and the results are identical to the boy's. Instantaneous, miraculous recovery. The coughing ceases, the blood stops, and she sits up in bed, completely revitalized.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, her immediate reaction provides Jigong with the exact weapon he needs to bypass Ma Jing's defenses.
Yes. Overcome with gratitude, the mother issues a strict command to her son. She orders Ma Jing to kowtow to the monk and demands that he take Jigong out drinking immediately to celebrate and honor him.
This is a masterstroke of strategic manipulation by Jigong. By curing the mother, he hasn't just performed a medical service, he has weaponized the fundamental societal pillar of filial piety.
He uses the culture against him.
Exactly. In this cultural context, a son's obedience to his mother is absolute. When she commands Ma Jing to honor and serve the monk, she unknowingly grants Jigong complete authority over the household. Ma Jing is now trapped.
He can't say no.
He cannot deny Jigong access or refuse his demands without openly defying his miraculously healed mother, which would be a catastrophic social and moral failing.
Jigong has used his divine power to completely dismantle his adversary's social armor. And the chapter ends on a brilliantly executed cliffhanger. Ma Jing, defeated by his mother's command, approaches Jigong, bows, and says, "My mother commands me to take you drinking. Let's go outside."
And Jigong's response is perfect.
He simply replies, "Good." He stands up, entirely ignores the invitation to leave the house, and marches with unstoppable momentum straight back to that forbidden East Room to, as the text explicitly states, capture Yunlong.